The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
What's going on, Steelers Nation? It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here on a Tuesday where, Matt, we have certainly got some news of the day to get into.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin's press conference just happening a few hours ago, and some moving and shaking with the Steelers roster pretty significantly here. Let's kind of dive into this first with Mike Tomlin's injury updates.
Yeah, I want to start there, yeah.
And I think
then we'll get into the move.
That will kind of lead to the move that the Steelers have made, the addition that the Steelers have made here to the roster as well. So, at his weekly Tuesday press conference, Mike Tomlin, for this upcoming week against Seattle, the home opener, of course, 1 o'clock at Acrisure Stadium, ruling out Derek Harmon.
Okay.
Ruling out Deshaun Elliott.
Okay.
Ruling out Malik Harrison.
Okay.
Those three will be out, all oddly enough, with knee injuries. So a similar type of, same church, different pew for those three. Mike Tomlin said he is optimistic about Joey Porter Jr. and Nick Herbig.
Good, okay. Herbig was 50-50-ish a week ago. I thought it was a good move to keep him out. Harrison played some outside linebacker in his stead. Sawyer played quite a bit. Now you don't have the Harrison option. And Harrison and Sawyer are much different players than Herbig. And Seattle does want to run the ball a lot, but not to the Jets level, I don't think. I mean, Jets are a running team and did it very well, obviously. Herbig's not a run stuffer, so give him another week. Cool. Harmon, no shock there. I mean, I think we knew that. Maybe next week we'll start to have the conversation of maybe, or does he go to Ireland with us, or who knows? We'll see. The big news to me, well, not to discredit Harrison. I mean, Harrison's a decent player. He's a bottom of the roster guy. He's a good special teamer. But Elliott was the one I was concerned about, especially, and I'll break the news, I'm sure people already know, when it comes across that they signed Jabrill Peppers, I immediately thought,
that's not great.
Season ender for Elliott. This is terrible. And then all the reports started to come out, since the press conference, that no, that's not the case. But did he, I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, did he mention Harrison or, more importantly, Elliott as injured reserve guys, or are they like week to week? I got the impression they were more week to week, especially Elliott.
I did as well, too. I don't know if he laid that out, directly.
The exact roster.
The exact kind of spot that they're in right now. But according to...
That's not always his move either. Say, well, this guy's going to injured reserve. You just get the notice in an hour or whatever. Yeah, right.
According to the insiders. Right, the Jordan Schultzes of the world, the Adam Schefters of the world. Deshaun Elliott will miss a couple weeks with an MCL sprain.
Okay.
All things considered, not viewed as a serious injury. The goal is to be back for week 4 against the Vikings in Ireland. That last part, according to Jordan Schultz.
Great. So that's probably avoids IR. I mean, IR is at least 4. So
which your boy George Kittle just got placed on as well,
happened,
too.
Right.
I think this is...
And that can change because, like, a day ago, Kittle's like, yeah, he's going to avoid IR. Things are good. No, we're putting him on IR.
Things can always change rapidly. But I think...
Inflammation doesn't go down. Or, I don't know the medical stuff that's happening. But.
In the grand scheme of things, hey, like all 5 of those names, those injured names that I read off for you to start the segment, to start the show here, are all on the defensive side of the football.
They're all defenders, though, yeah.
So it's like there's already a little bit of attrition on that side, and that is
and the offense was better than the defense on Sunday.
Yes, they were. I think, to say the least, I think that's fair to say. The good news is, though, like losing a guy like Derek Harmon for the year or for a long period of time would have been detrimental.
Oh, yeah.
Losing Deshaun Elliott for the year or for the long period of time could have bordered on catastrophic. Relatively, for those guys just to be a couple weeks, it still feels like you dodged a bullet and it's still manageable.
Yeah, I think in the scheme of things, when you compare it to 31 other teams, you'll take it. I mean, it's probably not number 1. It's definitely not 32. You'll take it. At this stage of the game, Harmon went off and originally went, oh, that looked bad. Elliott went off, immediately was ruled out. Oh, that looks bad. And usually it's bad. Well, it wasn't that bad, at least. It's not great. The Porter stuff doesn't shock me either. I just wanted to throw that out there. I mean, you do get a lot of strains and pulls and things like that, especially week 1, dehydration, heat, haven't played a ton. So that one, as long as it wasn't like a tear or anything, I wasn't overly concerned about. we talk Peppers now?
I was going to say that's where this all leads. There was, as you mentioned, the news of the Steelers signing Jabrill Peppers came across the timeline before Mike Tomlin's press conference, before the Deshaun Elliott news came across the timeline.
Yes.
So I had the same reaction. Like we have a group chat that's like the broadcast booth on game days, basically.
Okay,
so Rob King, Max Starks, Missy Matthews, myself, and Dan Quinlan.
Gotcha.
And right when that news of Jabrill Peppers broke, Missy sent it to the group, and Max and I, like seconds apart, texted like, "Oh no, that's not good about Elliott."
Immediately what I thought, right?
But that ended up not being the case, which is good news. But you're still, we would think, going to need Jabrill Peppers at least for a few weeks to play some kind of role.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that scouting report look like? What can we expect from him?
First off, I have no clue if there's any truth to this or not, but I was shocked he got cut, first of all. Now, I think he was let go of New England for two reasons. First off, he's a big personality. He's a handful, from what I understand. Good, bad. So is Ramsey. So is Rodgers. You know, I mean, like, that's not unusual, and the Steelers are not shying away from that at all.
Certainly not.
In fact, they're embracing it. But it's not like they're bad people or not competitive or taking plays off.
Just
it's kind of the opposite.
Big personalities.
It's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You know, they're on, and frankly, he didn't fit this scheme as well as the Belichick scheme. Belichick wants guys that can do a lot of things really well, which is exactly what Peppers does. That they're more of a too-high scheme now with Vrabel and this defensive coordinator, which the further away from the ball, the less effective he is. I mean, they could find a different, and he's making money. So let's save some money. We're a rebuilding team. It's not going anywhere. He's not a perfect scheme fit. Okay, we'll move on. And I was shocked when it happened, but I did some homework today, and that all adds up. No, but what I was thinking, though, is I've been praising the defensive depth for months now, really. The Steelers' defensive depth. Omar's done a great job. Tons of defensive linemen he brought in. Extra outside linebacker. If Eccles is your fourth corner, wow, that's great. But safety was the one spot where I didn't think it was very good. You know, Holcomb's a great third inside linebacker. But safety, even when everyone was healthy, I was kind of like, Chuck Clark's okay. Got you out of the game yesterday, but he's not someone I'm begging to play big nickel with when everyone's healthy with three safeties on the field.
And you've been talking about this since the Minka trade.
Right.
This is something you've brought up a few times
light.
along.
Yeah. So you mentioned this a couple weeks ago. If you sign a vested veteran after week one, he's not guaranteed anything. So I'm just curious. This deal might have been in the works last week before the injury. Just curious, like he would have been useful if Elliott was 1,000%, because I think he's better than Clark and will be used in a similar manner. Now, here's my scouting report on him. I mean, he was a phenomenal college player.
Oh, he was.
People probably remember that.
He was like his high school highlight tape and coming out his senior year of high school, he was the number one recruit on a lot of people's big boards.
Yeah, he was like Charles Woodson comparisons at Michigan, right?
He had like a Reggie Bush type highlight tape.
Okay.
As a defensive back.
Legendary.
Like a legendary high school tape as a safety defensive back, do-it-all stud on his high school team.
Yes, and ended up high in the Heisman balloting, despite being
finished top 5 in Heisman trophy.
I think he played a lot of offense for Michigan, from what I remember too.
Yes.
I mean, he was.
I don't know if a lot, but I think he did some. But yeah, that was the year.
Maybe, or I can't remember. He had the ball in his hand some.
It was the year that Lamar won the Heisman Trophy.
Okay.
Funny enough.
But he ended up like 4th or 5th in the balloting, I think you said, again behind Baker and guys that were really good. Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. Not bad.
Not bad.
All quarterbacks, etc. So he was a high pick. He's had a really good career. We don't need to go his whole history, but the recent tape of him is still really good. I don't think he's declining at all. I think he's a good, not great athlete. That's why I say the further away from the ball, his change direction's okay. He's a lot more linear, fast in a straight line, more of a downhill player. If he's a too high guy, you want him coming towards the line of scrimmage more than flipping his hips and going backwards. But still, he's better than Chuck Clark at those things. So you improved that aspect of it. He's more strong than free, better near the line of scrimmage. But he's really versatile. And if you look at his snaps over his career, he's played slot, he's played linebacker, he's played safety, he's played free, he's played too high. And I wouldn't say he's awesome at any of them, but he's not deficient in any. I mean, I think he's quite good in all. Exceptional tackler, like rare tackler. Rarely misses a tackle. And when he gets there, he's a thumper with aggression. Physical. Yes. He can blitz. I think he's a better football player than Chuck Clark. And when everybody's healthy, I think you might start thinking about some big nickel stuff, assuming he fills in for Elliott and you like what you saw. So it's kind of a gift that he's still out there. And again, they may have jumped on him a week ago. You know what I mean? That
is an interesting point from you, that maybe this is something that they had been planning on, hoping on.
Boy, I can't believe he's available and we could use a safety. Yeah.
And you and I talked about a little bit of that with Pierre as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
Since he was active on the roster week 1, now his contract is guaranteed the entire season.
Yeah.
Because he's a vested veteran as well, too. So maybe there was some of that conversation of, hey, we can't afford to have both of these guys on the salary hook for the rest of the season.
Jabrill, how about we sign you in a week?
How can we make this work for week 1 and then go from there? And that makes a lot of sense. It certainly does.
And my hunch is probably there was 5 teams saying, hey, Jabrill, why don't we sign you after week 1? And maybe this injury is enough for him to pick the Steelers. Or maybe it was already a done deal.
Maybe he was already leaning this way.
Yeah.
The safety room looks a little bit thin.
Right.
And then you suffer an injury week 1, and that is just kind of the confirmation that you need there.
Like, it's great that Ramsey can play safety, but I don't want him to just play safety. Right? Or that's kind of defeats some of the purpose here. Right?
In a weird way, like I want Ramsey closer, not for the same reasons as you would say about Jabrill Peppers, but I want Ramsey close to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want him off the ball. I don't want him 10, 15 yards off the ball, and not because he can't turn his hips and get downfield, but because I want him up near the line of scrimmage. I want him on defensive backs, playing physical, able to blitz from the slot every once in a while.
Like I want all his avenues available. Right?
Exactly right. I want him to be able to have every option on the table and not be handcuffed in any regard. And as you kind of alluded to, I don't think that this is just a stopgap, don't sink the boat for the next couple weeks type signing.
No, I don't think you're renting him for a week or 2 and then send him on his way. I think he's here.
This is somebody who should have an impact, and we do this a lot as sports fans, sports media, whatever. Like when everyone's healthy.
Mm-hmm. Which never is the case.
And then you get to that time and somebody else is banged up somewhere else, nicked up from something, one in the outdoor, one in the indoor type thing there. So I think that this is not going to be a, hey, we need you for a couple weeks and then see ya. I think his role will obviously change and evolve, but that this could and should be a guy that's with the Steelers for the next 16 regular season games.
Yeah, and it wouldn't blow me away if he's on the team next year. I mean, he's a good football player that's valuable. If this works out, bring him back. That wouldn't shock me one bit. I'm not saying it's a Joe Hayden pickup, but I mean, you kind of got a freebie here. Yeah, is the way I look at it. You got a good football player you gave nothing up for.
I agree with you.
Jump on it.
I think a name that a lot of people are familiar with. He's a former first-round pick, like Matt and I discussed. I mean, he was a Heisman.
Like 29 years old, give or take.
I was going to say because he was in that same draft class with Lamar and Baker and those guys. So that would about line up there. But yeah, a big name and a lot of kind of news of the day here as we get rolling. If you missed it at the start of the segment, Derek Harmon, Deshaun Elliott, and Malik Harrison all ruled out for Sunday's home opener against Seattle. Mike Tomlin saying he's optimistic about the availability of Joey Porter Jr. and Nick Herbig.
So, Wes, one other little thing before we get a break.
Yep.
In order to add Peppers on the roster, somebody has to go. So, I don't know we know that answer yet. I bet we won't know that even until tomorrow. So, I don't know if does Harrison or Elliott go to IR? Doesn't sound like it. Or is somebody else getting chopped, but I mean, you can't just add them for free.
No, you cannot.
There are roster limits, right?
Again, if someone comes in the indoor, someone's got to go out the outdoor.
Right.
Wasn't that a Rolling Stones song or a Rolling Stones album or something? In through the outdoor.
That's
Zeppelin. You're right. Sorry, that's a fatal mistake around you.
Get a break, dude.
Good thing Tony Pauline's not in here with us, or my head would be chopped off right now. We do have to go to break because we got new Steelers Nation radio host and longtime Steelers beat reporter for the Trib, Chris Adamski, joining us on the other side. Is it correct in saying, is this his inaugural Drive debut, or did you and Dale ever have him on in the past?
This is number one.
inaugural Drive debut for new Steelers Nation Radio, Steelers Audio Network host Chris Adamski. When we return on the other side, he was down there at the facility today. We'll pick his brain on some of these things and how the roster might be moving and shaking when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, it's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here on a Tuesday, and to the phone lines we go. Matt, I'm excited about this one. Longtime Steelers beat reporter, has covered the team currently for the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. Now new Steelers Nation Radio, Steelers Audio Network host. And, of course, you know, there's a lot of you Mount Lebo guys around these parts, Matt.
There are a couple, yeah.
But now we're getting some more Mars planets in here, too. Myself and Chris Adamski. Adamski, what's up, dude? How's it going?
I have to get like Kurt Angle in here to set you guys straight.
I hear Mount Lebanon a lot. I'm hearing a lot of Plum here recently now with the Pat McAfee and all that stuff. There's always Plum talk. We need some more Mars. Like you said, somebody has to be hosting. It's in the contract, I believe, for SNR that the Blitz host, succeeding me will be like David Bednar or J.J. Weatherholt or something like that. You know, it'll always be a Mars alum, has to be part of that show at one point or another. But yeah, I'm excited to be part of it too with Tom and everything. So,
dude, you guys been a lot of fun to listen to. Most days I'm kind of driving in here while you guys are on air now, so I've been throwing you on. And yes, for those who haven't heard, for those who haven't checked it out, Chris Adamski, along with our longtime buddy, and you've heard him here for years, Tom Offerman, are now hosting the Steelers Blitz and doing a great job. Chris, let's get right into it. We saw the Jabrill Peppers signing, and we've discussed the Deshaun Elliott news. He's going to miss some time, but seems to be, you know, relatively just a couple weeks, dodged a bullet, not the end of the world. What are you hearing about his status, the timeline, and do you think there's any chance he goes on IR?
Yeah, I think it's right in that sweet spot where it's going to be, more than 2 weeks. So then you're all of a sudden, it's 4 games, and you figure that 4 games, 2 games. Now the bye week sort of, messes with things, and I don't know if the travel affects anything at all. I don't know if flying in that, making that flight when you're coming back from an injury makes any difference or not. But so maybe that does. But then of course you get the bye week. All of a sudden you're extending out 4 games, becomes 5 weeks. And is it that long or another? But I think maybe the proof's just in the pudding. Rather than overthink it, they go out and sign another safety, or at least a safety-capable player, and Jabrill Peppers. Maybe that tells it there. And I thought it was interesting because I thought the Steelers, it was pretty crazy. I mean, Chuck Clark's been a starter for, 7 or 8 years in this league, and it took essentially 2 injuries for him to get on the field in terms of playing every down on Sunday. And that's kind of a luxury the Steelers, I thought, already had, was depth in the secondary with the guys they brought in this offseason. I mean, think about all the names, all the guys they brought in. It started with Eccles and Ramsey and Slay, and of course I said Clark there, and Thornhill, and now Peppers. It's like these are a lot of guys who have a lot of experience for a lot of years in this league.
Chris, good to have you on, and congrats on the new gig. It should be a blast having you on, I guess, every Tuesday, Wes. That's the plan?
I hope so.
Yeah,
as
awesome.
long as Adamski can pencil us in.
Awesome. Something we were talking about is in the first segment, if none of those injured dudes, Harrison or Elliott, to be the only ones really, go on IR, well, they got to get rid of somebody to get Peppers on the roster. Do you think it's Sharping or maybe one of the D linemen, if Harmon's on the cusp of coming back, and now we know Cam's not a concern, who could be on the chopping block?
Yeah, I mean, if you presented that as an if, and I would think more. It seems to me like the Harrison would be the move. Now, obviously, then you'd be, maybe short a linebacker. Although short term, at least with the practice squad, you could address that. And as has been discussed, Holcomb didn't play any snaps at all, so that kind of
that's a good point about Holcomb.
Covered, apparently, on
Holcomb
the inside,
hadn't been out there.
Yeah, so if they're pretty much planning to play Queen and Wilson every down anyway, and which is almost essentially what happened in the first week and what they sort of talked about and alluded to all the offseason, then it sort of mitigates the need to have the depth, at least in the short term there, maybe for a week or two, if that's the case. So at least that's where you go. And yeah, they kept an extra O lineman. So, and nowadays with the practice squad elevation, I'm sure if they did, the Sharping thing, they could go back to the practice squad with him then and still have him available if they needed him for, in an emergency type situation in a given week where they're down a guy or so. So it gives you a little more flexibility with it. So, it's not like it was heck, what was it, 15 years ago, you went on IR, you're out for the season, so it was a lot less flexibility. You had 7 guys, and that was it, and you had to be really judicious with how you brought in guys, or you couldn't put them on the practice squad if they're veterans, things like that. Now there's a lot more maneuverability and things you can do, and especially in the short term with 2 practice squad call-ups, if you had to get a guy at a certain position, they could do it. But I just get the sense it's probably going to be Harrison to IR.
I thought Odawayu might be in trouble, and I crush his name. I apologize. The D lineman.
It's funny you say that, because I was wondering if I was going to say his name, and I'm like,
I always
I'm
avoid it.
A writer, and I have to type it, so I just say O, and but it doesn't make it for good radio. I'll be like Aquale and O.
Yeah, I crush his name.
Like
I avoid it every chance I get.
Yeah.
I thought he might be in
And
trouble, though.
he got, and he was the scratch, so I mean, he would be an obvious candidate if you did, especially as Harmon creeps closer and closer back to availability.
Chris, Derek Harmon, you mentioned him there. Let's talk about him for a minute. Mike Tomlin ruling him out, but do you get a sense of optimism that there's a real chance, they'll try and get him ramped up a little bit this week and then hopefully kind of green light and good to go for next week?
Yeah, I thought that. I think it was a little bit more. I thought he might do the old leave the light on this week, and even though it wasn't really on, or the door might have been ajar in name, but just a little tiny crack where you had to really kind of pry it open. I was sort of surprised he didn't even leave that little out for it this week. So, but the fact that he is trending that way, and hey, it's like, again, it goes back to they didn't put him on IR, so they fully expected he had a good chance to be back within the first 4 games, and this would be 2 games then. So, yeah, if they're able to see, I certainly wouldn't rule him out at all for week 3. And I think that was probably, if you look at sort of the timeline anyway, from what you heard from that first game, and so that would be, in terms of weeks, that'd be the 4 weeks out from that, and that's kind of what the initial, reports were on that. So that would seem to be a good target, at least for that Patriots game.
Chris, maybe this is simplifying things. It's only 1 game, so it's a tiny sample size. But the more you study it, it sure looks like Jaylen Warren took the Najee Harris role and Gainwell took the Warren role. Do you think that's accurate? Do you think did it shock you? What do you take of the running back rotation and usage at this point? Yeah,
I was trying to tell everybody last week that you'll be seeing Gainwell a lot more than you probably think, but he played a lot more than I thought, even with my expectations that he would play. I was surprised at how much he was out there, and it is kind of, I get, of course, and Tomlin kind of gushed about Gainwell today, about he's coming, obviously he had the big special teams play, and it wasn't as if he was super duper productive or anything on Sunday in his debut, but he has that skill set, and I thought it was a sneaky little good signing there they did for very little money and very little term there, to bring a guy that's been a playmaker like that in. The question I always had, though, was that if he's your perfect third down back, I mean, that was Warren's role essentially, or at least the lion's share of Warren's role in the past. They're not the same player by any means at all, but there is certainly some overlap there in terms of how they'd be used, and I don't know if Warren is the best. I don't know if the Steelers thought or hoped. I'm sure there was a hope that maybe Caleb Johnson would just knock their socks off during camp in the preseason and maybe just be able to be the former Najee. Then you have maybe too many guys, but that's the good problem to have rather than the other way around. So, but you're right. I hadn't thought of it in the way you put it, but that really seems to be it. It's almost roughly. It wasn't exactly a 50-50 split, which is pretty much what they had the last 2 seasons when they were together, the 50-50 split. And if you go by role and everything, although it seemed to be, well, I mean, you're right. Warren did, the full series thing, first and second down.
Pretty much.
So it was a lot like that. Yeah. In past years, like what they did, it's kind of funny then how Warren reversed his roles from what he had before.
And looking back on it, I didn't realize at the time, I'm chalking a little bit up the game script too. Like if they had a 20-point lead, they'd put Bettis in there and close the guy out. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't see as much Gainwell. As a shootout, they were throwing a high percentage of the time, short, quick passing game. Maybe that was a little more of a Gainwell-friendly script too.
Yeah, and Gainwell always is part of, and I think, I don't know what you guys think, but I don't know, production-wise, of course, he had the real long catch, a couple of long catches in games in the past, but I don't know what the numbers exactly were, but I thought maybe it was, in terms of the eye test, in terms of the varied routes and the catches and the plays he made, Calvin Austin maybe had his best game. And what I'm getting at with that is that Gainwell, as much as he runs routes and almost plays as like a slot receiver, an extra wide receiver, and people talk a lot about the extra tight ends and how that can maybe cover up or mask the need for depth at wide receiver. And we certainly saw that in week one with we all expected to see Jonnu Smith a lot, and of course Freiermuth a lot. And we probably didn't see Darnell Washington as much as most of us thought, for sure. But seeing Gainwell and the routes he ran and everything almost kind of, again, serves as kind of that, number 2 or number 3 receiver, however you want to put it, in terms of the eligibles that are out there in any given play.
Chris Adamski with us here on The Drive. He is part of the new Steelers Blitz with Tom Opferman here on the Steelers Audio Network. He also covers the Steelers for the Trib. Adamski, one guy that we didn't see much of was Roman Wilson. Just 10 snaps, 0 targets. Were you surprised by his usage? Again, like so much of this is it's one game. It's a small sample size. We're going to get more data points. But were you surprised in that first data point of this season kind of being such a small sample, such a small spin for Roman Wilson?
Yeah, I probably would if you would have asked me last week. It would have been more than that for sure. I didn't think he'd get any more, of course, than Austin or anything like that. And Scotty Miller got a lot of play over the preseason there, of course, and he was kind of the hot guy, and I thought maybe see a little more of him even. But yeah, there were I think other than Skoranek, of course, was the big play. The one target to Skoranek, I don't think there were any targets even to a wide receiver other than Austin and Metcalf. I got the impression it's crazy. I've gone up and down with Roman Wilson so many times now, and even I feel like the Steelers have too. Like I felt a sense that they were kind of a little bit down on him let's face it, he was a healthy scratch, and even when he did play, he played 5 snaps sometimes. I know he's injured and that kind of thing, but I always we make the comparison. It's apples to oranges and higher pedigree, different position. I get all that, but Fautanu hardly practiced either, and as soon as they had a chance, they put him in there immediately to be the play, and they didn't do that with Roman Wilson. And but so I didn't know. I thought early in camp he wasn't really popping that much, and then he started to get better in the middle of camp, and then I really kind of opened my eyes when it seemed like Aaron Rodgers went out of his way to praise him and talk about he could be, what do you call him, something special in this league he could turn into. And so then I started to get convinced that we're going to see a lot more of Roman Wilson. But a lot of it could be game plan specific and things like that. We'll see, like I said, with all the Gainwell, and you're going to see the tight ends, and as good as Austin was, maybe there'll be other games and other situations. We'll see how it flows. Maybe he does play a little more the third wide receiver. But yeah, I would have thought a little more than we saw from him. Certainly, I thought a target or two at least.
So one guy that obviously I'm not even going to candy coat it, but Broderick Jones had a really rough day on Sunday, and I thought the rest of the line held pretty well against a good front, and there were some bright spots from all of them. But Jones was very worrisome. Are you getting the impression at practice around the organization that there's a losing trust situation, or are they considering any moves, or what do you think? How do you think they feel about Jones?
Yeah, let's put it this way. This has nothing to do with them or whatever, but I made sure late in the fourth quarter, or once we got late in the second half, that I was looking who jogged on the field every time. I wouldn't have been blown away at 67 if Calvin Anderson was running out. But now maybe that's just me. Like I said, that's not based off of info or anything. But I thought that was, of course, that would have been sort of almost, I don't say seismic, but that would have. I think that the ramifications of that, when you have your first round pick, you still believe in. And it was one. You can't lie. You can't lie at the stats or the numbers and the sacks. And I know that not every sack is simple to assign to somebody, but
it wasn't pretty.
Two of those, yeah. You kind of have to look at that, and it's his first start at left tackle. If that happens in every tackle, if that happens once, in week 11, and everything's been okay other than that, okay, you kind of look past it and say, oh, there's a bad game, whatever. But yeah, if you're doing it in week 1, it's certainly not encouraging. But the Steelers, they gave Calvin Anderson 2-year deal, so I guess that was their faith. They have him to be the swing tackle, but they didn't go out and get a more like they did kind of with Herbig a couple years ago, a guy who has started and can start, kind of a middle range salary there as kind of insurance. And I think that is kind of faith they had in Broderick Jones. So he still has a leash, of course. He still is ultra talented and everything. But yeah, obviously you can't have too many more games in a row where you're probably charged with 3 sacks.
Chris Adamski, last one I've got for you, partner. Maybe we buried the lead a little bit because we're about 14 minutes into this segment, and we didn't ask you or talk to you about the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and what we saw from the 4-time MVP, the future Hall of Famer, the Super Bowl champion. Listen, again, 1 week, one data point. I don't think we all expect him to throw for 4 touchdowns every single Sunday, certainly. But for his first in-stadium action with the Steelers, his first in-stadium action with DK and Calvin Austin, man, I thought that's a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, it was. Listen, they're on the road. You're playing whatever you think about the Jets overall and whether it be. I don't think they'll be any worse than an average defense. It's not a bad defense for sure, and they got a good front and things. There wasn't much of a running game from the Steelers, so a lot. And you're playing from behind a lot of that game, at least back in some of that game. At least you're playing from behind at the end, certainly in the fourth quarter. And on that point, that's what. If you're signing a 41-year-old former 4-time MVP of the league, you're signing him for those drives in the fourth quarter, right? I mean, that's what. No matter what he is, mobility-wise, this and that, whatever, that's what you're feeling most comfortable about is having him there for those situations. And week one is his debut with the Steelers. It came through. You got just barely enough in that second drive to get in the Boswell range, but it got the job done. They won the game, and I've always sensed there's a palpable sort of trust and I don't know, reverence might be. I don't know if that's a strong word or not, but amongst these guys, I mean, all these teammates, they were, to varying degrees, they were kids watching Aaron Rodgers win Super Bowls, right? I mean, most of the roster would have been what? I mean, the average age is 27. They won the Super Bowl 15 years ago, so he was they were about 12 years old. So there is kind of that, the cachet that he has, and I think you saw that in terms of the offense at times. Even though whatever the offense was doing, I never felt like it was. It felt organized. It felt everything felt. It was on schedule, those kind of things, generally speaking. So I think you saw the presence of having a guy like him as your quarterback.
Chris Adamski, you could check out his work in the Trib. Make sure you are listening to him and our buddy Tom Opperman at noon right here on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Chris, great stuff, man. Looking forward to having you part of the SNR family and chatting with you all year. Thanks for the time.
Can't wait to talk to you guys more often. Take care, guys.
There he is. Chris Adamski. Good stuff. Good start.
Yep.
Glad to have him in the fold. You were joking before we went on air, like we need more reporters. We need more boots on the ground guys here, and not just all of us who yap from the comforts of our studios. So yeah, good stuff from him, and looking forward to chatting with him. I think probably just about every single Tuesday here on the show.
That's the plan. I like it.
We are also from a new guest in Chris Adamski.
Yeah.
To a new segment idea that I have for you on the other side, Matt. A little Tuesday rewind. Okay?
I don't know what that means. Bring it on.
This is. Would you like to know now, or should I just lay it on you at the start of next segment?
I like to just drop it right on me.
I'll drop it on you when we return from commercial
break.
Like
a lead balloon. That's a Zeppelin reference.
Yes, I know that. I know that one. That's going to go over. That's going to go over like a Led Zeppelin. I do know that one. I can't believe I messed up in through the outdoor.
Yeah. I'm not going to let you live that one down either.
That's all right. 365 days of penance. I'll make up for it. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here on a Tuesday afternoon, and we will have a new guest on Tuesday afternoons, Chris Adamski, that we just introduced to you all there. Yeah, awesome. Happy to have him in the fold here with our SNR family, and not just because he's a fellow Mars High School graduate, and I'm sick and tired of all you Lebo guys around here just doing your thing all the time. Matt, I also would like to do a thing with you on Tuesdays.
He's got a show with a Lebo guy now, I think about it. So the Mars-Lebo connection.
I was just going to say 2 of the regular program shows here are
a good combination.
One Lebo grad and one Mars grad.
Yep.
Same color scheme. Maybe that's why we all that's why we all get along so well.
Blue Devils.
We are the fighting planets. That's fighting, not fighting. Fighting.
Fighting. Oh, okay.
And
scary stuff.
Don't you forget it. Another thing that I would like to do on Tuesdays, and we might have to adjust this a little bit, obviously, when the Steelers play Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football or anything like that, but a Tuesday rewind. So, obviously, I know that you have watched the game again. You have dug more into the numbers again since we do kind of our initial reaction game recaps on Mondays. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of peel back the curtain for you and for our listeners, Monday night's a big night for me in terms of rewatch stuff. Because every Sunday, and this too, I think I've mentioned this, but I'm the Steelers game day engineer.
Right.
So I'm First one in the booth, last one out of there. I'm in charge of our entire operations in the broadcast booth. All the setup, all the tear down, the wireless microphones on the sidelines, everything with Rob and Starks. Oh yeah, we got to go on the sidelines and test the microphones before the games. All that kind of
it's
stuff.
Big production. Yeah.
I mean, we get there about 4.5, 5 hours early before kickoff, just to give you an idea of how long everything takes. With that, I am obviously in the broadcast booth, sitting right behind Max and Rob, and I have a great view of the game. But there's also a lot of things that happen that, when I'm there in the broadcast booth doing my job, I might miss.
Oh, I would think. Or if something happens to go wrong.
If something happens, if Missy's having an issue with her microphone on the sideline and I have to step away for 5 minutes, which happens from time to time.
You're not studying the plays. Right.
Whatever the case may be. And I'm obviously not watching all the other games that go on at that time. If we're on the road. I
assume there's a TV in the booth.
There is, but it's mostly on Steelers stuff, because Max is looking for replays, Rob's looking for replays, all that kind of stuff. And and then we get for the away games, we go and we get on a flight and we're in the air, and so I can miss some action there. So Monday's a big rewatch night for me. I like to watch a lot of the condensed games from from stuff that I missed, and I like to rewatch the Steelers game in its entirety. Just because, again, making sure I'm remembering everything correctly. Well, wait, were the Steelers down 6 or were they down 9 in the second quarter? Well, what exactly?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Some situational stuff.
What exactly was the down and distance when they took a shot to Calvin Austin at the end instead of maybe just trying to get a couple extra yards for Chris Boswell?
Yeah.
All different kinds of things like that. We'll call it the Tuesday Rewind.
Okay.
Maybe a kind of look back at some things that we want to talk about from the game that we didn't talk about in our initial game recap.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Super quick. You mentioned that Austin shot. I don't think we brought that up even yesterday.
That was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about if you want to go there.
Yeah, I just thought that it's noteworthy. I mean, we know what Tomlin's formula has been since Ben's elbow injury in terms of managing the quarterback. I don't know how many times we've cited it, that when they throw a pick, they lose. When they don't, they do. Whatever. I'm not sure if that shot would have got taken last year or definitely the year before or the year before or the year before. And frankly, I'm not sure Rodgers is even asking anybody. He's taking, if he sees one-on-one in a matchup he likes.
Going for it.
I mean, they didn't throw. One thing that was also true, side note, they didn't throw a sauce at all. I mean, the rest of that secondary is pretty vulnerable, and I think there was only 1 or 2 balls even thrown Sauce's way.
Smart.
And he followed DK a lot, but 3 of the catches DK got were the 3 snaps that Gardner wasn't on him. Rodgers, I'm not throwing at Sauce. We got other options I like better. But if DK's not on Sauce, I'm throwing to him. Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost every time.
You and I would joke during training camp. It was almost intentional that the first rep of team period was always Aaron Rodgers throwing to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, he didn't run many routes with other quarterbacks.
Every time during training camp.
Every time, yeah.
That felt a little of the same church, different pew on Sunday.
It did.
Where, every time Sauce is not lined up on DK, that's Aaron's first read. And the majority of time he's going there.
And that doesn't mean he couldn't beat Gardner. I mean, I think that's a battle. But the other safeties and corners were pretty vulnerable. That's where they're going with the football,
Totally. And so that, it's funny because I didn't really, that wasn't even in my thought process, but I think that's a brilliant call by you. My thought process was kind of, hey, they believe in Calvin Austin. They had an opportunity to take a one-on-one shot with him. It was a 50-50. I didn't think it was an egregious miss by not calling the pass interference, but I wouldn't have been.
No, but they could have got it.
50-50, could have gone either way. I was just looking at it as hey, you get you call your 3, 4, 5, 6 yard gotta have it play there, and it turns a 60-yarder into a 54-yarder for Chris Boswell,
which is usually how they've done it and make his life a little easier.
But
you're right.
Your thought process of not when Aaron Rodgers is out there, not when you see an opportunity. That is a great call by you,
man. Yeah.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, Matt, the first note that I had in my Tuesday rewatch, way more explosive pass plays than we've seen.
Oh, times 1,000. Yeah,
I know there was still the lack of that in the run game, right? I believe Jalen Warren, 9-yard carry, I want to say, was the Steelers' longest carry, longest rush attempt.
Explosive 10 in the run game.
10 plus, and it's 15 plus in the pass game, right?
Yeah, that's the official next gen.
3 or 4 the Steelers had of 15 plus?
Maybe had more. I wouldn't say maybe even 6.
Okay, which is a good number and something that we haven't seen a ton of in the last few post-Ben years.
And they came about them in a much different way. So we have seen explosive passing. Wilson deep ball, moonshots down the sidelines, throwing the ball far, and somebody Pickens normally going up and get it down the field, running go routes. Because remember the explosive play rate stuff we did. They ended up being positive.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it's because no one ever throws deep on the Steelers. So they didn't give up a lot of explosives either. But their explosives came almost all off play action, which I tweeted some stuff today about Rodgers. He's never been a big play action guy, but they've obviously bought in on play action makes my life easier, even more rollouts.
That's the second observation I had written down for you, by the way.
Cool,
was way more.
Stealing your thunder.
No,
here.
I love it when a plan comes together. Way more explosive pass plays, way more play action. Those are my first two notes from my Tuesday rewind.
But the explosive passes were not 40 yards downfield, DK running past somebody or Pickens. In fact, he only threw one pass over 20 yards down the field, and it was 21. If you look at his chart, there aren't any long balls.
There's a couple 20-ish yarders.
He peppers that neighborhood.
That's about it.
A couple
that
or 19
intermediate area.
Right. And even like Austin touchdown was into the end zone, but it was from the 19-yard line. So people fought me. Side note, I made a lot of enemies on Twitter yesterday because I put down basically, I posted his chart earlier, but I also just wrote his average depth of target was very low. The ball came out of his hands very quick, and I cited all the numbers. And and I wrote down he didn't attempt to pass over 20 yards. Well, I didn't make that stuff up. I cut and pasted it from Next Gen Stats or someone that charts this stuff. And everyone's, why you hating? I'm like, I didn't mean this as a negative. All I did was put numbers down. If he'd have been holding the ball for 4 seconds, throwing the ball 40 yards downfield, he would have got destroyed with that protection. That was good quarterbacking. That was the plan, right? That doesn't diminish from what he did, at all. He threw a lot of balls behind the line of scrimmage too, because they couldn't run the ball.
I think one of the things that a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers does, and to his credit, when things were going good for the first handful of starts last year, I thought we saw some of this from Russell Wilson as well too. Mm-hmm. They're going to take what the defense gives you.
Yeah, right. Brady's the master at this stuff. Right.
You can tell we're starting to get on the. I'm in the Led Zeppelin zone, and I was just going to go to talk. Tom Brady, some weeks, it was, I'm going to air this thing out to Randy Moss. We're going to stretch the field.
Yeah.
Other weeks, it was, we're going to crush you in the slot with the Edelmans and the Welkers.
Sure.
Other weeks,
the backs a bunch.
Running back sometimes. The Gronk and the Hernandez, double tight end sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what the best quarterbacks do, is they take what the defense is giving them and they run with it.
Mahomes is the best example recently, too. He had his average depth of target this first couple of years was through the roof, shrug guys off, throwing bombs at Tyreek. Now he's at the absolute bottom of the league in average depth of target. Doesn't make him any worse, guys. It's hard to beat a team by death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it bothered me because everyone writing back is, why you hating? It doesn't matter. They got the win. Look at all the yardage you put up. I'm like, yeah, because it was all I did was cite the numbers. And it worked. That's good quarterbacking, right?
Statistics make people feel some type of way.
Oh, they do, right? Why are you cutting on our? You couldn't say anything bad about Rodgers, which I get. I love that everyone's defending their dude already.
But it's not saying anything bad about Rodgers. It's just pointing out.
I'm not saying good or bad. I just pointed out where the ball went.
There's a lot of middle of the field numbers on that passing chart too, which is good to see.
More than in recent years.
Yeah. Hour in the books, another hour to go. I don't know. Do you have any other Tuesday rewind observations you want to get to?
Probably 1,000, but they'll come up over the course of the week.
Sounds good. We'll do some of those. We want to do a little fantasy football focus to kick off hour number 2 as well. We'll do all that as we roll along here on a Tuesday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, hour in the books, another hour to go. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here, hour number 2 on a Tuesday, and that's going to mean some things around these parts. Namely, it's time for a little fantasy football focus.
All right.
Matt, week 1 in the books. What do you say we go through some winners, some losers of the week 1 fantasy slate here? Number one, feels like you got to talk about Emeka Egbuka pretty quickly in this conversation. He had the most points by a wide receiver, fantasy points, in his first career NFL game since Hollywood Brown in 2019.
Wow.
Including that game-winning touchdown with just about a minute left.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, we won't talk about like preseason ADPs and things like that much longer, but it's relevant with only one game in the books. It starts shooting up and shooting up and shooting up, and you had to use a higher pick every time to get him. And I kept moving him up my list at a rapid rate. People that saw him at joint practice here, we saw him, in Acrisure live, all the reports, Godwin being out, McMillan gets hurt against the Steelers too. It's a good offense. Mayfield played quite well in this game too. Him and Evans getting all the targets. They don't want to throw to tight ends. Those are all check marks in his favor, and rookie receivers are not a bad investment, and he's way ahead of the curve.
He absolutely is. And
yeah,
every year there's some of those sleeper guys that they get taken really high in some drafts, not as high as you expect in some, and it can end up sometimes working out really well, sometimes biting you in the butt. This seems like one that is gonna work out really well.
Yeah,
for
I think you're gonna be real happy no matter where you got him. I wish I would have got him more in drafts because I tried to.
Absolutely, and I mean, especially with Godwin sidelined, I mean, he's going to have a big role, I think.
Those Ohio State receivers have translated pretty well to the league too. We got one coming here next week.
Yeah, second on this list we do, and we just saw one as well too, who finds himself on this list in Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields both listed here on ESPN
1,000%.
Fantasy as winners. I mean, I think what everybody thought was going to be tough sledding, a slow day, a slog for the Jets offense was anything but.
Anything but. I mean, he got start with Fields. I thought Fields played the best game of his career. Read something today, I don't know who even wrote it, but it was just really well phrased that Fields made strides not fantasy related, as a Steeler. Now, he's gotten better every year, and he got better as a Steeler. But in an offense designed for Russell Wilson, not him. This Jets offense is designed for Fields, and the Steelers didn't want to run him a ton, especially when Wilson was hurt. But this team is going to run him a ton. And I think people might have even been shocked how fast he gets to the edge. I mean, he outruns Watt to the edge and big-time players, defensive backs.
There was a couple times Patrick Queen read it perfectly.
Yeah, and can't get
and still wasn't even within 2 yards of him. Couldn't have read it better and reacted better, and he wasn't even within 2 yards of him.
That's like Lamar Vick stuff. Like he's fast, but then you're on the field with him like, whoa, this is a different cat. And Fields is definitely that. And that's not the most startling thing in the world, but he was great from the pocket. Yeah, I mean, just within the confines of the pocket, throwing accurate balls. I watched a lot of Field stuff this morning, tight window stuff, ball coming out on time. I mean, I'm happy for him. I mean, it's really good. And a lot of people shied away from Wilson because super low volume. He's going to get quadruple covered. Fields isn't a very good quarterback. Sometimes Wilson's just a great player, and he showed up in a big way in this game too.
Yeah, absolutely did.
Yeah.
No, those two, again.
Jets have some building blocks. I mean, that aren't fantasy related. I was really impressed with 8 to 10 Jets players.
1 week, one data point. You got it. Nothing is proven. Nothing is solved. Nothing is concrete, certainly after one game. But I think you and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. There's no moral victories in the NFL. You only have 17 games. Sure. You got to win. But if I were a Jets fan, I think I'd be feeling about as good as you could after a loss.
I feel better about my team after the game than before it.
100%.
I think the Brownies could even say that too. I think the Browns could say that too.
Certainly. But for the Jets, I don't think it's even particularly close. I think
this is Steeler note, but a post game note. The Jets are going to have an O-line. Membo and Fashanu are big time dudes, and Tippmann was really good at guard. Myers did really good at center. I mean, they're going to have an O-line.
They sure are. Your boy Membo, good start for him. Certainly. Finding himself on this list of winners as well, too, Matt. And I mean, man, I don't think anybody saw this coming. How about the Sunday that Daniel Jones had?
Yes. Now, we kind of did a segment on this, just stock up, stock down teams today on Peacock and Williamson. And the easiest stock down team on the planet is the Dolphins. I mean, that's a disaster. And then I even mentioned, I'm like, Carolina is so happy that Miami exists because they were the second most disappointing
No one's talking
team.
about them, yeah.
So I don't know to overreact. What I think how I phrased it today was a lot of these things was, was this team bad or was this team good? It's 45-55, it's 50-50. But in this one, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was 80% the Dolphins being horrible. So I'm not ready to be like, oh, the Colts are going to win 11 games. Daniel Jones, it is a fantasy segment, like Fields, has been way more fantasy relevant than he has been on the field.
Because he runs.
He runs. He's really good at it.
Two running touchdowns, two rushing touchdowns
he's really
against
good
the
at
Dolphins.
it, right? Like, if you're starting Daniel Jones, he's probably not in a lot of leagues. He's startable because he runs. I can't stress that enough. I mean, if he gets benched and Richardson takes over, start him. He's going to run. That's all that matters. He's not going to complete 0 passes.
I think he will be, for a guy that was, was available in 95% of ESPN leagues heading into Sunday.
Right.
I think that number is going to be much different, though, heading into this week, certainly.
Like, you're starting him way over Tua, who never runs at all.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, as great as Rodgers was,
Tua.
as great as Rodgers was, you start him over Rodgers. He's not going to throw 4 touchdowns every week. It's just the nature of the game you're playing. It's fantasy football. It's not real football.
And you had that, like you and I were texting last night. I was shocked that Pro Football Focus had Aaron Rodgers ranked the 22nd or the 24th best quarterback.
And I don't agree with that.
And you were like, I don't agree with it, but they also ding quarterbacks that don't run.
Yeah.
But then Matthew Stafford was number 1 on their list.
Was he? I didn't study it too hard. Yeah. I didn't approve of that list.
Again, it's a resource.
It is.
I think you and I are pretty level-headed on Pro Football Focus.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly a resource, but not everything they say is gospel at the same time, and we don't have to act like it is.
And I forget what it is. I cut and pasted and quoted something from them on this morning that was Steeler related. I thought was really good.
Another quarterback on this list was Aaron Rodgers. They are saying he is now an extremely viable number 2 quarterback options for 2 quarterback in super flex leagues.
Agreed. But I think this is a much stiffer test this week because, as we talked about in hour 1, obviously in hindsight, a major game plan was throw at every defensive back not named Sauce. Well, you're not going to be able to do that this week because all their defensive backs are good. They may not have a Sauce.
Right.
Witherspoon's really good, but he's mostly a slot. They don't have a weak spot in their secondary. So does that mean that the pass percentage will go down? I'm sure 4 touchdowns is not the norm, and one of which I'm not taking away from Aaron Rodgers, but it bugs me to no end. This is a Mahomes thing too. The pitch thing is not really a touchdown pass, folks, in the real world. I don't know why the NFL calls it that. That's just makes me crazy.
Well, you know where that kind of started and became the original. Is this a jet sweep? Is this a pass?
Yeah.
It's Geno Smith and Tavon Austin.
I'm saying, is this WVU
2009, 2010, 2011.
Okay.
Do you remember Dana Holgerson?
Yeah.
He was like the hot upstart offensive coordinator, became the WVU head coach.
And Austin would be perfect for that.
And Tavon Austin was perfect for it and had 700 yards against Clemson in the Orange Bowl using that play.
Okay.
And then next year it was in the NFL.
Okay. It just shocks me they call it a pass.
That was
That makes me crazy.
That whole year, there was that.
Geno must have threw 1 million touchdown passes.
He had a game against Baylor, Matt. We scored 70 points. This was my senior year of college.
When you're a student, okay, yeah.
46 of 51, Geno was for 8 touchdowns and 656 yards.
Okay.
And not all of that, obviously, but a few of those were one of those little pop passes that
we could have completed.
That Tavon Austin took 40, 60, 70 yards to the house.
Right.
Yeah. And it was like a lot of people started looking at that and going, there's something there, I think.
I have no problem using it.
That was 15 years ago.
For fantasy, it drives me crazy that that's a touchdown pass.
Yeah,
Mahomes has like 12 of them in his career.
I could certainly see why that would be the case.
Throw it.
Another name on this list. Good to see him back doing the things that we expect him to do.
Real quick, though, I wouldn't go running to the waiver wire to get Rodgers yet. Like, I'm not starting him next week. There's no way he's a top 12 guy for me yet. Because he's have 0 rushing.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think if you're really desperate for a backup, it's a different conversation at this point. But let's see it. Let's see it one more week. Another guy who we have to talk about here, Matt, as a winner. Good to see him back doing his thing and healthy. Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, and wow. I mean, we talk a lot of Niners on our podcast, and now Jennings is banged up. Kittle's going to IR.
Purdy's banged up.
the workload's going to be nuts. And I forget what my co-host who hosts Locked On 49ers said, but something like, and it's obviously it's a one game thing, but he's like, he's on pace for like 600 touches this year. Well, that's all you need to know. I mean, he's running back one right now.
Yes.
Just because of the workload. Is it going to be insane? Does he hold up? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But if he touches the ball 35 times, he's going to score 1 million fantasy points.
I did want to run a couple of these fantasy football arrows down after week one for you. Where are you at on Joe Burrow?
I'm not worried. Too good a football player. I don't think the Browns have this miraculous. I think the Browns defense played really well. I thought they outcoached the Bengals to some degree. Bengals are slow starters. I don't want to give that too much of an excuse, but Burrow's going to throw the ball and throw the ball well.
7 yards in the second half.
So
That's
bad.
still insane to me.
That's still insane to me. But, like, I'm not selling Chase or Burrow. I just know they're good at football.
They could have run the tush push every play in the second half and gotten more than 7 yards.
Right.
That's incredible.
That's so bad.
Also listed as a arrow down, all playmakers on the Detroit Lions offense. I don't know if I'm quite there yet.
That's a lot. That's a big leap.
I mean,
those guys are pretty good.
To say that they aren't going to produce on offense quite like they did the last couple years, I might buy into.
Maybe.
But I also don't think like it's going to look like it did at Lambeau Field for the next 16 games either.
They walked into a hornet's nest that just traded for Micah Parsons, and I know Ben Johnson isn't there anymore. And frankly, this is a side note, but I mean, they obviously lost a good coordinator that went to the Jets as well. You know, I mean, I was really impressed with the way the Jets were coached. I mean, that's going to have ramifications just on the Lions overall. But I'm still starting Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gibbs and, right.
Yes.
100%.
100%. And a heck of a catch by Isaac Tesla as well.
I'm a fan of his, too. He's not quite fantasy relevant yet.
Not yet, but he might be a guy who by week 4, week 5, week 6, if you need a wide receiver, he has his feet wet.
He's their number 3.
He's their number 3, and solid preseason and solid start to his NFL career. A trio of wide receivers listed as arrow down: A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins.
Tyreek worries me to no end because he reminds me of end of career AB starting to lose his mind a little bit without a Tomlin to keep him under wraps. And vibes in Miami are horrendous. I think Achan's really the only guy I'm comfortable with because they'll still dump it to him, and
you got to run the football.
They're going to run the football. So Miami scares me. You knew this when you drafted A.J. Brown the second or third round. You have to know that there's 2 or 3 games a year where they just run like crazy and go elsewhere. You just happen to get one in week 1.
Yeah.
Get over it. Nico, if he's stock dropped a penny, I'm buying at that price. I think he's an utter superstar. Their O-line was a problem, but Nico will be absolutely fine. I'll put my reputation on it.
I think he will too. Houston feels like one of those teams that started slow a little bit lately.
It was pretty ugly,
and then started to figure it out. It certainly was. But I'm not betting on that being the norm for as talented as that team is and what they have at quarterback and with some of their playmakers.
Like, I'm not interested in, like, Higgins and Knoll and those guys as much anymore. But Nico, fire him up.
I'm with you. There's some fantasy football up and down for you for week 1. We will have more fantasy conversation as the week rolls along. But, Matt, what do you say we get into some power rankings, a little Tuesday power rankings when we return here? We'll go over those, give some thoughts. You start at 32 and work your way to 1.
That's the way we do it.
It's The Drive here on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Week 1 in the books across the National Football League. After last night's crazy one in Chicago, we will discuss that before we get out of here. Little Monday night football recap before we are finished with this second hour of The Drive. But Matt, now with all the week 1 results in the books, we do have just one, but we have some data points now for all these teams. You want to roll through some power rankings here?
Yeah, sure.
From NFL.com. Number 32, the New Orleans Saints.
So, I got to be honest. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't be 32, but everyone on the planet had the Saints and Browns 31-32, 32-31, wherever. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be there, but I thought both teams played way better than I expected in week 1. And Rattler was not terrible.
No.
I mean, they played the Cardinals hard. And I don't know that, like, if you said, who's going to get the first pick in the draft? You can have the Browns and Saints or the field.
Field.
I think I'd take the field.
Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean, there's some teams that are not looking so good right now, So, and before I probably would have taken those two. You can have the other 30, give me those two. And I don't want to overreact, but they were pretty respectable.
I agree. I was surprised to see them at 32.
Yeah.
I thought Carolina had a worse performance. I thought Miami certainly had a worse performance. And
they were the worst two teams of week 1. It's just how far do you want to drop them?
And this, power rankings are supposed to be a reaction.
Now.
They're supposed to be hyperbolic in the moment, not big picture.
Yeah.
Well, okay, the Panthers looked worse than the Saints, but we still think the Panthers are a better team. Like, no, that's what power rankings are for, week-to-week movement.
Mm-hmm. I think how good the team is this second that I jotted on a piece of paper.
Like, you can't have the Chiefs second or third on your list this week after they just lost their opener.
Right. But it doesn't mean they have to be behind the Chargers, though, either.
It doesn't mean they have to be behind every team that won a game.
Right.
But you also you have to take that week-to-week ebb and flow and how they just performed in their most recent performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think you can put the Saints at 32. I'm with you.
Yeah, they were okay.
Carolina at 31, I think you could certainly have put at 32.
It was miserable. Young looked bad. Defense was terrible. They were
Ted
pretty much
McMillan
dominated.
made some plays, which
that was one of the
nice
only bright
for them
spots.
to see, but that's about it.
That was about the only bright spot. I'm glad you brought that up.
Cleveland at number 30.
Okay. I mean, again, I don't think they're good, but they played pretty well.
I think you can look at it and you can say their defense is going to be good enough to keep them in a lot of games.
Yeah.
But that their offense is going to struggle mightily.
I'd imagine. And I think Flacco's going to be a real roller coaster. And the O-line didn't play very well. I mean, they weren't great, but they were a respectable 60 minutes they put out there,
Absolutely.
They weren't a joke.
No, I think they held the Cincinnati Bengals offense to 7 yards in the second half.
Right.
I know I've said that about 5 times in the last 2 days.
10 points or 14 points or something for the whole day?
Very impressive. The New York Giants check in at number 29. We're going to see Jackson Dart this weekend?
No, but we are going to soon. And I think they're trying to chomping at the bit to get him in there, which I totally understand. Russ is fine. He wasn't the problem, but he's not the answer. O-line was pretty miserable. I don't have a problem with them this low.
28, those Miami Dolphins.
Okay. Now, do they say where they were last week for whoever's power
Last
rank?
week they were 24th last week, so they fell 4 spots.
And they had to fall. I mean, they were the most embarrassing, non-serious team out there.
Poor Minka. Lord.
I was thinking that too. Like, man, maybe, what do you do? What's weird is the way I think his contract's structured is they could even trade him at the deadline too.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. They might start.
I'm not saying he's going to do like Tyreek Hill type things, but
he could be pretty uncomfortable.
They might get to week 4, week 5, and he's like, "Hey,
if they had 2 or 3 games like that,
oh
man,
I don't want to be here. This is not what I'm trying to do. Can we get me moving?"
I think their head coach's hot seat is the hottest of any. I bet in Vegas. You know how you can always bet on coach get fired, which is pretty rude. But anyway, I bet he's the shortest odds.
Going into the season, I would have probably had Stefanski and Glennon from Arizona ahead of him.
Okay. Giants I knew were high too.
But right now, I think you're right. I think right now it's
just a miserable situation.
A lot of the messaging and the press conferences and things since then have not sounded great either.
Not at all. The vibes are terrible.
27. I don't get this. The Jets are at 27.
Ooh.
I'm not saying they should be 17, but I think they should be higher than 27. They were 30 last week. They moved up 3 spots.
They could crash and burn, but that version of the Jets would have beat a lot of teams last week. A lot of teams. I think they're really trending the right direction. I hope it keeps up for them because Fields is kind of easy to root for.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Tennessee, number 26.
I would say Tennessee needs to be low.
They need to be low, certainly. Some encouraging moments from Cam Ward, but
Tennessee,
I mean, they are at the very bottom, the very start of a rebuild.
He didn't get much help. Ward was doing a lot of stuff on his own, a lot of drops, a lot of penalties. They gave the Broncos, though, a legit game. But Denver didn't play very well. I would drop Denver from wherever they were at, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Knicks had a really rough day.
Knicks struggled. I thought some questionable decision-making by Denver and Sean Payton in there as well, too. 25, the New England Patriots.
Pretty underwhelming against a not great Raiders team at home. I may be being a little harsher on them. I'd have the Jets over the Patriots right now.
I would as well, too.
Yeah.
I certainly would as well. I think that's an easy one.
Yeah.
24, up 4 spots after their big dominating win. It's the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay. I'm not going to overreact to them. I don't think they're all of a sudden going to win double-digit games or anything.
I think that's about right for them.
Yeah. You got to move them up. They dominated a football team, so yes. But let's see it again.
Yeah. And I don't think if they go out and lose next week, I wouldn't drop them a bunch of spots. I think that's about right for them.
They're pretty even, Steven.
23, you just mentioned them, those Las Vegas Raiders, up 2 spots after winning in New England.
Geno was really good, your boy.
Yes, he was. 362 yards.
There was a good article on ESPN talking about all the quarterbacks, their first start with new teams, and they ranked him 1, Rodgers 2, Fields 3. I got no problem with that. They all 3 of them were really successful with their new teams.
I almost sent you a tweet. I think it was yesterday maybe, or maybe Sunday night. You and I often send each other goofy things at goofy hours of the day. And I think it was someone from the Football Outsiders, but they just tweeted out, like, a good litmus test of your football knowledge is what you think of Geno Smith.
Yeah. I think that's a great way of looking at it, right? Oh, he's no good. He's a backup.
He stinks.
You're wrong.
He's a bum.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if you think he's the best quarterback in the world, obviously it goes the other way too, but he is in that tier of good NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, quality
certainly.
player.
22, also 1-0 and feeling good about themselves, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, they thumped the Panthers. That game really wasn't close. It was pretty much over at the half.
Dallas, haven't talked about them for a while. They've been inactive for a few days, playing that Thursday game in Philadelphia and dropping that contest, pardon me, to the Eagles. Dallas comes in at 21.
I mean, they hung around with Super Bowl champs pretty well. I don't have real high hopes for them overall, but I think they'll be okay.
I think between Dak and CD, and I expect George Pickens to have a bigger role in that.
Doubt.
I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. Javonte Williams was better than I thought, and defense was better than I thought. But
they strike me as a middle of the road 8 or 9 win team this year.
Don't see them a little under, but I hear you.
I'm
a Dak believer.
I think they've got a floor with that offense. Number 20, the Atlanta Falcons. What'd you think about Penix? We didn't talk about him much in these past 2 days.
He's really growing on me. I mean, he wasn't tremendous or anything. I mean, London was banged up, and they're trying to get him the football a bunch. And I need to watch more Bucks Falcons. Probably tonight I'll throw it on or whatever too. But I think they're real happy with him. And so that's about right for Atlanta.
Good starting point for week 1, despite the loss.
It is.
And they got a tough one though. They got to go Sunday Night Football at Minnesota.
Ooh,
the Falcons. Falcons do, after starting 0-1. That's always tough. Number 19, the team that we are going to see next, the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about them. I love their defense. Their offense has major problems.
I think it's that simple for Seattle, and I expect that to be the tune that everyone will sing for 18 weeks talking about that Seahawks team. Number 18, some good things last night, but still lost, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I think they're still learning. I think they're a bunch of puppies trying to figure things out. Rode the momentum early in home, and then the water level started to even out a little bit,
Big one next week. They've got the Lions. Ooh. One of those teams.
I wouldn't love to play the Lions after they got beat pretty bad last week.
And if you start 0-2 in that division,
good point. But 2 division losses,
that's tough.
Yeah.
That's
one of those teams gonna have 2 division losses.
That would be very, very tough to recover from. I know if you start 0-2, you're doomed. Isn't quite to the same extent now that the regular season is 17 games and there's an extra wild card team in both conferences. It's not the traditional thinking behind that, but you start 0-2 in your division, good luck.
You're in trouble,
You're digging yourself a big hole.
Yeah, you're right.
The Arizona Cardinals come in at number 17 after their victory against those New Orleans Saints.
I'd have them lower.
They get their home opener against the Panthers this week. They could be very easily 2-0 by the time we get here next week.
And I bet they will. I'm sure they're favored by 5 or 6 as they were in New Orleans. Again, I was kind of more impressed with the Saints than I was impressed with the Cardinals, even though New Orleans lost.
It's a nice start to the season for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's a nice
Saints and Panthers. That's a nice one too. Number 16, right in the middle, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Said that NFL.com says they are fortunate to have won on Saturday.
I think there's some truth to that. I mean, you hit a 60-yard field goal. I mean, and there's an art to some of these things too. I said this a couple times. I thought on a play-by-play basis that New York was the better team, but that doesn't mean you're better at winning football games the way you have to win football games in this league and make big plays when it matters most and have your best players, the Ramseys and Boswells and Rodgers, come through in the clutch. There's something to be said for that.
San Francisco at number 15. I don't know. That's a little rich. That's a little rich for me.
I know. They're not in a great spot right now. Injuries and whatnot. Their defense played better than I expected, but is that just Seattle's being bad?
That's
offense,
and got some big injuries as you mentioned.
Yeah,
that Seahawks defense is good, but I don't think they went on the road and beat some great team week one.
Mm-hmm.
It's 15. It's not like they're 11.
I'd probably have the Steelers over.
I think I'd have the Steelers over the Niners as well too. Number 14. The Houston Texans, a surprising lackluster effort out in LA to start the season, but it's just one game. I think they're still the clear-cut division favorites.
Yes.
I think 14's about right for them after Sunday.
Yeah, I expected more, but I also expected that to be a low defensive-minded game, which it was. Their defense is still really good. The O-line thing, I don't know, is anything close to being fixed.
That's been an issue for them.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Since I was in high school. Number 13, the LA Chargers. I thought they might be a little bit higher.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive performance. Herbert was phenomenal.
It was great.
I would have bumped them more.
I think I would have too, especially considering right in front of them, number 12, the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think you have to put the Chargers over the Bengals right now.
I think you do as well, too.
Yeah.
I think you do as well, too.
I mean, the quarterbacks are at least comparable. It's one of the few teams that can at least hang with Cincinnati quarterback-wise,
Number 11, the Minnesota Vikings. What a roller coaster for J.J. McCarthy in his debut last night.
I thought he was really overwhelmed early on, and that was a tough environment. I mean, Chicago.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little more specifically
skip those
in the next segment. Number 10. The Los Angeles Rams, after their defense held the Texans to just 265 yards.
Stafford played really well. So, I mean, my big concern with them is how's his back, how's it going to hold up. But I don't think you can go down that road for this exercise. He played great, and he's out there, so you treat him like any other quarterback.
I think you'll get a kick out of this and some of the Drive listeners as well, too. I wanted to make sure to laugh about this real quick with you. You know my penchant for messing up first names. Right,
sure.
Like I called Skylar Thompson Tristan Thompson a couple times.
Like 100 times.
No, a couple times. All right, like 4 or 5 during training camp. Kobe Durant, who obviously made that huge play for the Rams against Houston, the defensive back.
Oh, okay.
Kobe Durant.
This is a screaming NBA problem.
When we were out there 2 years ago, I think it was when Billy Hillgrove was still the voice of the Steelers, and he called him Kobe Bryant and Kevin Durant 2 separate times throughout the game.
That's great.
Kobe Durant, though. Important interception in that one for the Rams. Number 9, not impressive. Still get a victory. Still find a way to get it done. I think this is maybe about right for them, the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. The Knicks stuff started to worry me a little bit. That kind of like how Stroud took a step backwards after his rookie year, or at least had a harder go of it. I'm a little worried about Knicks. That was not a good performance by him. But one game, let's tap the brakes a little.
And he's certainly got the head coach that you would want to.
And they got great defense
to get him back in the groove. Number 8, the Detroit Lions, dropping 3 spots after that loss to the Packers.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that the window's closing, but the window's still open.
I think the window's still open for them to be a really good team that maybe wins the division and goes to the playoffs, but I certainly don't think that window looks as open as it did for a Super Bowl.
Agreed.
But it is also only week 1.
Yeah, they had a tough game, too. A really tough place to play.
Number 7, up 1 spot after their divisional victory over the Giants. It's the Washington Commanders.
Defense played pretty well, but they didn't play a juggernaut. Offensive line did a really nice job against Abdul Carter and Lawrence, more than I expected. Daniels looks like the same guy, give or take. So that might be a little high for me, but I'm not totally sold on the team. But they had a nice performance. They ran the ball well.
Number 6 into the playoffs for the last 5 years, starting off strong again. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're up 1 spot this week.
Yeah, and they'd overcome some things. Like they took Graham Barton, the
Slow
center,
start.
and put him at tackle, and I mean, like they moved some things around to get that win. I give him credit. Yeah,
That was an interesting one with Graham Barton.
yeah,
I mean,
right. He was a tackle at Duke that they made a center, and they're
played,
like,
I think, all 5 positions at some point in his career at
pretty sure.
Duke. Like,
Yeah.
But he was a tackle towards the end of his Duke career. They drafted him as a center, but hey, that's some nice position flexibility. Like I remember Alan Faneca kicking out to tackle time
Sure.
to time, but a center kicking out to tackle, that's not something
pretty rare.
That's not something you see every day, although he's built like a tackle.
He is.
At the center position. Number 5, after their loss to the Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is about fine.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put him in the upper tier.
No, maybe I would have him at 6 or 7 instead of 5,
yeah.
but I think this is about right.
I mean, they're probably favored if they play the Bucs right now.
You know who they play, though?
Mm-mm.
The Eagles.
Oh, wow.
They're another.
Is that a Sunday night?
they're-
It has to be a Sunday night or a
Oh, no,
Monday
because I think
night or-
Sunday night is Minnesota and Chicago, I want to say.
I don't know the schedule usually till like Thursday.
But if the Chiefs start
Wow.
0-2, it is the 4:30 national game
Okay.
on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. Important note.
Okay. I wonder if they're favored in that game.
They also have the Ravens coming to town in a couple weeks. Like, man,
Ooh.
they've got a bit of a start, tough start here to their schedule. I'm trying to find the
While
Chiefs.
you are,
The
like,
Chiefs are 1.5 point favorites.
I would think at home.
Slight favorite at
I don't
home
know
in the
that-
Super Bowl rematch.
They don't lose back-to-back games very often. It's funny you brought up the Ravens. We have not mentioned them yet. They must be in the top 3 somewhere, of course. I would have been harsher on the Chiefs losing to the Chargers and the Ravens losing to the Bills, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that Bills-Ravens game was a tie to me. I mean, it was a blast, and the Ravens have this terrible ability to lose close games.
You just love the Ravens,
I just
man.
love the
I'm
Ravens.
starting to pick
Yeah.
this up. I'm starting to pick up what you're putting down here.
But I would not have dinged the Ravens heavy for that loss. I mean, they gave away a game a little bit, and that's a trend under Harbaugh. But
They also played a true road game, whereas you know,
and
the
they played
Chiefs
the
and the
top
Chargers was a
team.
neutral game.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
That was in Brazil, yeah.
Number 4 on this list, I know that my co-host Matt Williamson was high on this team coming into the season. I'm sure he's even more on the bandwagon now, up 2 spots, the Green Bay Packers.
They played like maybe they should be 1. I mean, I'm not sure anybody was more impressive against a high-quality opponent.
We'll do our inaugural Best of the West rankings tomorrow,
Yeah.
where I give you my top 10 teams in the NFL.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you this
They're-
right now. They will be higher than 4.
I 100% get it. That was a real impressive performance.
Number 3, Matt's favorite team, the Baltimore Ravens.
Sure, I get it. You have to put the Bills ahead of them.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have to.
absolutely.
They were neck and neck to begin with.
That was a 1-spot drop for Baltimore.
Okay,
You know, not the end of the world. Number 2 is the Buffalo Bills.
fine. I got no problem with the Eagles ahead of them.
And then number 1, the defending Super Bowl champion, 1-0, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. Yeah, the top 5 or so need to be the top 5.
I agree. I
would
agree.
say
Might
for the
have a
Chiefs-
slight different order.
Yeah, me
but
too. But I
we
think
can talk
those
about
top
that.
5 are all. It was the Chiefs number 5.
Chiefs are number 5.
Yeah, I thought they were noticed. Those 5s are better than like the Bucs at 6. You know, and I'm not sure the Chiefs are in contention to be number 1. I'm not saying that, but they should be pretty high. You know, there's some respect factor there too.
As much as these power rankings are a week-to-week thing, they certainly deserve to get a little benefit of the doubt.
Right. Like I don't think they're going to go 3-14.
Yeah,
You know?
correct. Even if they lose the Eagles and start 0-2,
Right.
I still don't think it's far from the skies falling in Kansas City. Let's get to our final break. When we come back on the other side, I do want to talk a little bit more with Matt about that Monday Night Football game last night.
Yeah, interesting one.
What we saw from 2 young quarterbacks, a Vikings performance that really I think turned some heads, and this team is dangerous once again this year. Let's talk about all of that as we close down the show on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, and it is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Closing down the drive here on a Tuesday, and we will do so with some thoughts on that first Monday Night Football game of the season. Of course, last night at Soldier Field in Chicago, a early, important NFC North clash between the Vikings and the Bears. A back-and-forth one, Matt, ends up 27-24 Minnesota as the Vikings score 21 fourth-quarter points to win in Chicago.
Fun game, and I got to give the Vikings credit. I mean, they walked into a firestorm. You know, a Monday night, lubed up Chicago crowd, super psyched about their head coach. First overall pick is going to be the best quarterback in Bears history. And they started beating up on the Vikes pretty good. And I thought McCarthy was way in over his head and swimming. But I also had a lot of faith in Flores and O'Connell it's a long time.
Just breathe. It's a long game.
Yeah. And the Bears could have went up even heavier. You know, like they had them on the ropes and they didn't finish them, even after that pick six. I'm like, this score should be more lopsided than it is. But if I'm a Bears fan, I think I still come away with a good taste in my mouth that Williams looked much better than he did as a rookie. And yes, he's holding the ball too long, but he was eluding people and making plays, and the offense was much crisper, many more outlets for him to get out of trouble. A lot of receivers doing well. Defense looked okay. But I think the better team eventually won. And it was I used a boxing reference. It was a 15-round fight, and tide started turning by about round 10 or so. And you're like, okay, Jefferson's getting more involved. McCarthy's getting more, comfortable, and that's his first start too. I mean, Williams had played a whole year before McCarthy, even though they're in the same draft class. And it's funny, I was texting my buds, and I got several Michigan alum in my group, and I was like, man, your guy is looking terrible, and making fun of Michigan stuff. And they're like, yeah, but he usually finds a way. I'm like, I know this isn't NCAA, but that's kind of what he did at Michigan too. Like, it wasn't always pretty. Sometimes you throw the ball 10 times, 15 times. But when it was all said and done, he often finds a way to get the W,
Yeah, and we'll
see. But it was, he righted the ship.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. And it was an interesting kind of juxtaposition, I think, there, because I think at the start of the game, first half of the game, people are like, wow, Caleb Williams looks like he's making plays, looks like he's settled in.
Looks like the first overall pick.
pick.
Yeah. But he's slinging it.
You're talking about group chat with your buddies. I've got one with my buddies, and we've got a friend in there who is big hockey guy, casual football fan.
Yeah, okay.
And he was like, everyone's been calling Caleb Williams a bust. Like, what's everyone talking about? He looks great. He's got this rocket arm, and we're like, just
he's right.
Just give it time.
Yeah, right.
I said to him, I used your line. I said, my new co-host now, Matt Williamson, likes to say he likes to take sacks.
Oh, he loves it.
Just give him some time. He loves to take sacks.
Yeah. And he was better about it. I mean, there was times he was running around behind the line of scrimmage longer than I would like, but
I think this can obviously be too much of a simplification, but for Chicago, new regime, new era, this year is about figuring out if Caleb Williams is the guy or not.
Yeah, do I have a coach and quarterback?
Forget everything else.
If the answer is yes, then it's a successful year.
No matter how many games you won, no matter how many games you lost, if the answer is yes, it's a successful year.
And that's a valuable learning experience last night, too.
Even if it's a definitive no,
at least you know.
I don't think you don't call it a successful year, but you need to know. You need to have a definitive answer.
Right. Last night was a lean towards the yes call.
It was a lean towards yes.
Yeah.
I was about to do the whole preface it with it's one data point out of 17, but I think you should be a little more encouraged about Caleb Williams, not to the level of maybe like we talked about with a Justin Fields, to continue to talk about Chicago Bears quarterbacks here. Right. But I think it was an encouraging performance from Caleb Williams.
Yeah, as I said, if I'm a Bears fan and if I'm wise enough to look at it through the lens of do we have a coach, do we have a quarterback, I think the answer is yes. On Monday morning, tough loss. You probably should put that team away at home, but the Vikings are better than you right now.
They did win, 14 games last year?
Yeah.
But you're right. Your kind of boxing analogy there was on the money. There was a couple times the Bears had them on the ropes, and they just needed to land one more body shot or one jab to the jaw to knock them out, and they just
couldn't quite do it.
And that in the National Football League, the game of inches.
You let these guys stick around.
A team like the Vikings. that
you got to bury them when you can.
You absolutely.
Ask the Ravens.
You have to bury everybody when you can, but especially those type of teams that are winning double-digit games, going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Knows what it. Minnesota very good in one-score games last year.
Sure. I bet the Jets are looking at the same way. Like, we couldn't put the Steelers away.
Right.
Yeah.
We were up 9 late in the second quarter.
Steelers were on the ropes a little bit there for a while.
Had some opportunities.
Yeah,
Steelers were certainly on the ropes, and then we give them the ball back on special teams, flip the field, make it easy for them.
To Aaron Rodgers.
To Aaron.
Right.
Bleeping Rodgers.
What are we doing,
Hey, he is still, even at age 41, a bad man, Aaron Rodgers. Matt, good stuff today. I enjoyed this show today. I thought we
let's do it again tomorrow.
Thought we covered a bunch of different bases, and I enjoyed that, and we will certainly do it again tomorrow. For our video producer, TV, and for the best co-host in the business, the Mario Lemieux of NFL broadcasting in this town, if I will, Matt Williamson. I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.